Hello and welcome to this channel, everybody. This is the Eradicator, and in today's video we are going to talk about Star Citizen Alpha 3.6. We've had a lot of clarifications from Todd Pappi, who is basically in charge of anything related to the PU, and it was like a very long version of calling all devs. This was the Inside Star Citizen Live, which is the show that takes place on Friday. Usually it's quite technical, and I don't usually cover this show because it's not as mainstream as some of the other things that they're usually talking about. But I believe that this is today a show. I mean, this was a show that will catch the interest of more people. So that's why we're going to talk about it today. Now, before we do that, guys, I know I'm going to talk about something a bit annoying, but maybe you guys know that my PC blew up a couple of days ago, and I've had no choice but to ask for some help because otherwise it's going to be nearly impossible to cover anything until I get the new PC, which was scheduled to get for November. For those of you who follow this channel, you guys know that I started, sparing money back in April to get the new PC in November. You guys have been really helping me a lot, I have to say, and thanks to your support, I think that now we can aim at an end of September, early October. So really big thanks to you guys. I've made a little program because I don't want this to be one-sided. I want to give back as well in any means I can. So if you're interested in helping me out getting this new PC ASAP, I'll put the link in the description down below. Any help is welcome. Anyway, let's get started now to 3.6 and these questions. So let's talk about these right here. So they started talking about the law system here, and especially they're saying that if you do a misdemeanor, you'll just pay a fine, or you're going to have to reduce your crime stat at SPK. So now reducing crime stat at SPK is not as easy. In the past, you just interacted with the console. Now you're going to need some hacking tools like a chip. Apparently, these will be available at places like GrimHex or maybe the junkyards that we can find scattered around Hurston or maybe other places. But it's definitely going to be a little bit more complicated than before. Still, there will still be people who will try to stop you. They didn't say if people who stop you from accessing some of these computer terminals will get a reward or not. It would be nice, instead of just having the pleasure of killing a criminal, but we'll see. Combat, so apparently if it's going to be the same, if you shoot first, you are the attacker, and if you retaliate, that's going to be called self-defense. I'm not a big fan of that personally. If I see someone, for example, who has a suspicious behavior, I like to be, I like to attack first. I like to do preemptive strikes, but if you do preemptive strikes against potential grievers or criminals, you are still considered the attacker and you'll still be considered a criminal. So in my opinion, this needs to change. Junkyards. So in 3.6, you'll be able to sell stolen goods there, but you will not be able to sell your ship in junkyards. So that is not going to be implemented in 3.6, unfortunately. They also did not mention regarding stolen cargo. Apparently, it is not going to be possible to sell your stolen cargo in a stolen ship because simply, Todd Pappi said he didn't think about this. He says maybe it's possible, maybe it's not, so we're just going to assume that it's not. What else are we talking about here? Let's see. There's a plan to remove armistice zones. So right now, the first place that will no longer have armistice zones is going to be GrimX. It is still going to have an armistice zones in 3.6, but it is going to be the first place with no armistice zones, simply because they need to have security working to enforce armistice zones, but there's not going to be security in GrimX. Players are going to be the security there. I can imagine some very interesting emergent gameplay out there. But I know I did talk about armistice zones quite a lot in some of the previous videos. Oh yeah, it's going to be removed in 3.6. Well, not quite, unfortunately, but it is the plan for the long-term future. Talking about trolls, so trolls are going to be fined for their bad behavior, but in 3.6 they don't have the security or the enforcement that is going to be shooting them down on site. That is going to be the plan for the future. Like, a griefer, someone has a griefing behavior, the game will be able to detect that and shoot them down, but it's not going to be implemented in 3.6, only fines. Speaking of fines, if you basically fines will have to be paid. They're not going to be directly taken off your bank account. You're going to have to pay them at specific kiosks, and if you don't have enough money to pay the fines, then nothing really happens. That's what I understood, at least from this video. So this is, as I said, and they often say it's tier 0, so I guess this is going to be fines tier 0. They talked also about Port Olisar. Port Olisar is a mix of cargo depot and rest stops. We're going to have cargo depots in the future down this year, but it's not going to change in 3.6. There are changes to change it in the long-term future, but for the next couple of patches, it is still going to be the same. They talked about harvestable entities too. So harvestable entities, we were speculating that maybe there will be things you will be able to eat or pick up. Right now, it's just an improved version of mining. So I think we've seen some leaks about the new mining rocks and the new mining clusters. So that is harvestable entities in 3.6. In the future, they plan to spawn guns, fruits, cave items. And also it's going to be useful for derelicts, but as of right now, it's just for mining. Speaking of mining, they actually, Todd thinks that it's actually a good idea to have special ore in special locations like craters or canyons. It's not something that is in 3.6, but he doesn't see why it's not feasible. He actually likes the idea. And this is why these kind of shows where backers ask questions directly can be interesting, because we can actually give ideas to the devs that they might not have thought about before. And this is what makes, in my opinion, the development of Star Citizen so interesting and so unique, is we can really have a direct impact on the decisions that can be made for the game. And I really liked that particular aspect of the show right there. Shipping prices will change, as well as what we have here. Combat assist missions. Unfortunately, combat assist missions will not include NPCs if no one shows up. Let's say you start a combat assist mission because you're in trouble, you need some help. NPCs are not going to help in 3.6, probably because, servers would definitely need server-side object container streaming. Speaking of that, it is also not coming in 3.6. That is something that we know, but it is something that they are actively working on. It's just that it's not on the roadmap because not everything is in the roadmap. Todd said that there are some exciting stuff hidden in the roadmap, lots of features that are not mentioned, including server-side object container streaming. He did say that some exciting features are hopefully going to come for 3.7. Are we talking about server-side object container streaming here? We don't know, of course, but we'll see. We'll see what's going up in 3.7. Right now, let's just focus on 3.6. New missions. There are not going to be new missions. The only thing that's going to be new is if you take these com array missions, like you either activate them or disable them, you are going to need, especially if you disable them, you are going to need to have the hacking tools for that. So it's going to make these missions a little bit more complicated. They also mentioned ship rentals. Ship rentals not going to come in 3.6, probably 3.6.x, maybe 3.7 if it takes too much delays. But you'll be able to rent your ship for 1, 3, or 7 days. Probably it's going to be more expensive if you rent it for a longer period. And if you get your ship destroyed, your rental ship destroyed, in 3.6 it is going to be claimable just as if it was your regular ship. So it's going to work like a purchase, but it's going to be like a temporary purchase. This is not going to be the plan for the future. In the future, if you destroy a rental ship, you're going to have to pay an insurance policy, but that's not going to be implemented in 3.6. Last but not least, weapon attachments. So in 3.6, the weapon attachments are just going to be the optics, like a zoom, for example. But that's about it. In the future, you're going to have night vision or a flashlight or a laser pointer. But these are things that are not going to be in 3.6. 3.6 is just going to be the zoom. Why not? Why not? Especially if you're doing long range shooting, this can be an interesting and useful tool, in my opinion. So that's about it for this video that we had, with Todd Pappi and all of these questions answered for 3.6. Very interesting, very informative, in my opinion. Anyway, guys, don't go anywhere. This month, I've got a giveaway. I'm giving away a Tumblr Ranger CV with lifetime insurance. This is the perfect space motorcycle that is going to allow you to do planetary side delivery missions. All you need to do to get a chance of winning is to subscribe to this channel and to comment to any videos posted this month. The winner will be announced early July. I know that I was saying that there would be a giveaway, a live stream, but unfortunately, my PC blew up, so I can't do that anymore. So it will be generated with a giveaway generator, unfortunately. Anyway, now let's answer a question from one of the Eradicators who support the channel on the crowdfunding website Patreon. And Stefan Nocross is asking, all the panelists seems to be making decent progress with the exception of AI. Why do you think is that? Also, Squadron 42 has 14 features scheduled for Q3. Is that even remotely realistic when they have been averaged 2 per quarter? Very good question here, Stefan. In my opinion, so it's not my opinion actually, why is AI not making progress? That's simply because the AI department of CIG is understaffed. I really suggest that you go to www.cloudimperiumgames.com, or just Cloud Imperium now, and check out all the job openings that they have. They have tons of job openings for AI. It's really difficult to hire good AI specialists, and that's why it's taking so much time. They're just understaffed. If they had more people working on that, then they would go faster. Also, the current state of the network does not allow them to properly test the new AI technology. So that's why I think that they're holding a lot of under the foot, if you see what I mean. They're not going as fast as they could because they're being held back by the poor server technologies, and we've seen that in 3.5. Basically anything that they're adding is just not working because servers can't handle it right now. So I hope I was able to answer your question. You also mentioned about Squadron 42, saying that it has a lot of features for Q3. That is correct, but I think what's coming up at the end of Q3, early Q4. It's CitizenCon. I would not be surprised if they are showing a little bit of Squadron 42 during CitizenCon, because after all, it is going to be released next year, at least the beta. So it would make sense if they showed us some stuff for Squadron 42. Maybe there will be a little bit that's going to be playable for people. Maybe again, I'm speculating. Maybe I'm going a little bit too far here, but that's what I believe. I believe it's because CitizenCon is coming up and they want to finish a lot of things before CitizenCon. But that's what I think. Anyway, thank you so much for asking the question, Stefan. And if you want your questions to be answered in the show like Stefan, don't forget you can check out our Patreon page. I'll put a link in the description down below. In these difficult times, it is really something that helps a lot. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this channel. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned because we'll be talking about the roadmap later. This is the Eradicator. I'm signing out.